Okay, changed my location today just for the fun of it. And looking at Psalm 34. Psalm 34 is one of these exhortation psalms, which is very beautiful. That I will bless the Lord at all times. His praises continually, and his praises shall continually be in my mouth. He talks about how I sought the Lord and he heard me. He delivered me from all my fears. Once again, the psalmist is in a state of fear, anxiety, concern. He talked about the poor man cried and the Lord heard him and saved him. How that we can trust God. And here's the psalmist here telling us how that God can be trusted. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusts in him. Oh, fear the Lord, all you saints, for there is no want in them that fear him. The goal of securing favor with God is in trust. And so, come ye children, hearken unto me, I will teach you the fear of the Lord. What man is there that desires life and loves many days? Let him see that he may see good. He keeps his tongue from evil and his lips from deception. Depart from evil and do good. The eyes of the Lord are upon the righteous, and his ears are open unto their cry. Now, there is a good promise there. It reminds us that in this life we have afflictions. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers them out of them. He keeps all of his bones, not one to be broken. That one right there is a messianic. This is what happened to Jesus when he was on the cross. Now one of his bones were broken. The Lord redeemeth the soul of his servants, and none of them that trust him shall be made desolate. And that desolate is to be completely ground down. There is nothing left. There's nothing to come from. And so he will not leave that person desolate. It's a very strong and beautiful psalm of hope and of deliverance, but also of the goodness and mercy of God. Going back to Exodus, we are at 17 and 18, and we have just finished the Song of Moses, and now the quail and the manna have been provided for daily sustenance. We're seeing them as they're traveling. They're getting the quail, and they're getting food, and they're getting this coriander, this this manna, this honey-like wafer, but they always run short of water, it seems, because they're traveling along in the desert. And they're pitching, and they were pitching it in Rephidim, and there was no water for the people. Once again, instead of the people trusting the God that can part the water to provide the water, and they would trust God to part water, but they're not trusting God to provide water. And the people thirsted, and they murmured once again against Moses. Why did you bring us out of Egypt? You brought us out here to kill us with our cattle. And Moses, of course, turns to the Lord. And the Lord takes him over to a rock. Take the rod that you smote the river with and smite this rock. Now he'll smite this rock. He'll come across a rock later, and instead of speaking to the rock, he'll smite it. We'll get to that later. But this is before Sinai, of course. So before Sinai, he's smiting this rock, and that water would gush out of it. So he smites the rock. He hits the rock with the same staff that he used to part the sea. He used the plagues, the same rod, and of course water comes out, and they're able to drink. But they're tempting the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" See, they're wanting God to prove that he's with them, even though he's done all these plagues. He led them out into the wilderness. He parted the Red Sea. He gave them quail, and he gave them this nutrients through manna, and they still say, "Is God with us or not?" I mean, what more does God have to do here? And then they come into battle. They come across the children of Amalek, the Amalekites, and they have these 600, remember there are 600,000 men. Many of them were warriors, and they knew how to use a sword. Maybe they were security officers. Maybe they were entrusted with certain lower levels of policing, the Israelites when they were in captivity. But either way, he's got these men, and he said, chose out men to go fight. So they choose out to fight, and Joshua was there, and he did as Moses said, and he fought with the Amalekites. See, Joshua the warrior, the son of Nun. And he will step out, and Moses and Aaron and a fellow named Hur went to the top of a mountain. And Moses lifted up his staff, and if he lifted up his staff, there was victory. When the staff came down, the Israelites were being defeated by the Amalekites. But Moses is just a man. He is lifting up the staff. His arm gets tired. So Hur and Aaron have an idea. They set him on a rock, have him hold the staff, but they lift the staff up for him, and the staff stays up, and Joshua destroys the Amalekites with the sword. And the Lord tells them to write this in a memorial and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. He wants Joshua to know about the battle. He wants Joshua to know that this is where he's going to, this is how he's going to secure the Holy Land, the Promised Land, when he goes into it, so that Joshua will remember what God has done in this battle. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of the Amalekites. So he's going to wipe the Amalekites completely off the map. They will disappear from history. They were so vile and so evil that God is going to wipe them out. But he writes this down so Joshua will remember this victory that Yahweh did for him. So he builds an altar there. Moses calls it Jehovah Nissi, which Jehovah is my banner. He is the one that's my banner. It's not this rod. It's not, any kind of symbol. It's Jehovah himself is our banner. He will go before us. And he goes, because the Lord has sworn that he will make war with Amalekite from generation to generation. He's going to wipe these people out and keep wiping them out and never stop wiping them out. We'll see the Amalekites come up, but he wipes them out completely from history. Chapter 18 is a nice chapter because we get his father-in-law comes to meet him. Obviously, during some time of the plagues, he sends his wife and 2 kids back. And then now they to go live with her parents, with his father-in-law in Midian while he was down in Egypt. And so now Jethro hears about what's happened in Egypt, and he's bringing Zipporah and the 2 boys down to Moses. So he leaves Midian, he comes down and brings them in. He has 2 sons, Moses does. One's named Gershom, and the other is named Eleazar. And Eleazar was named, for the God of my father has delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. And Gershom means I am a stranger in a strange land. So these are interesting prophetic names. Many times Jesus felt like a stranger in this strange land. And he has delivered us from the sword of Pharaoh. That is to say, Jehovah has delivered us from the sword of sin, from the wages of sin. Jethro comes in and meets with him. And it's interesting here, he talks about he gave his father a holy kiss. I see kisses coming up. And again, I'm thinking they're on the cheek. This would not be lips to lips. But kissing man to man, or even man to child, or something like what Jacob did with Rachel, was not romantic, but it was of kinship. It was of affection and kinship and connection. Remember that Judas betrays Jesus with a holy kiss, a kiss on the side of the cheek. I don't believe there was any lips to lips. But he betrays him that night by walking in Rabboni and gives him a kiss. He even said that the one I kissed, but kissing there was a type of emotional intimacy, of deep friendship and connection. And you see this again, that he's deeply connected with this man, that they love one another. And so his Pharaoh comes in and rejoices with him, also says that this God, Yahweh, is above all the gods, and he is a great God, and he seems to be a follower of Yahweh. He goes ahead and offers sacrifices unto God, and these sacrifices would have to be acceptable. God's not going to accept some sacrifice that is not acceptable. So he does this, and it came to pass in the morning that Moses would go to judge the people. Now we run into this thing where Moses had set himself up that the people would come to him one at a time, whatever disagreements, disturbances, frustrations. They were kind of a lawless group, so he was establishing the law. And again, this was before Mount Sinai. So trying to say, well, what does God think about this? And what does God think about that? And I've got this problem. They've got that problem. Can I do this? Can I do that? With almost 1 million people, a good-sized city, doing this, he was wearing himself out. Jethro notices that this isn't good and tells Moses and says, I have an idea to help you out. Why don't you teach men by thousands and by hundreds and by teens, and teach them so well that they can answer the easy rudimentary questions and then pass it up the line, and you only take the really hard stuff that the other men don't. So he take these men, teach them ordinances and laws that they can walk in, and you'll have rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s and rulers of 10s. Now that makes a lot of sense. So you got a problem, you take it to this person. They can't handle it, you go it up the chain. And you'll judge only the ones that are really hard. And Moses listens to this, and he chose out able-bodied men for rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. And he judged the people, but the hard cases were taken to Moses. Then Moses' father-in-law leaves, and Zipporah and the two boys stay with Moses. You'll see later on that when property and inheritance is given out, you'll also find that there's an area for Aaron and there's an area for Moses. And you'll see that these boys also are named, and they have a certain area. Now, that's not within the tribes of that's kind of within the tribe of Levi, because Levi becomes its own tribe, and it isn't given in a specific area, but of land. It's kind of dispersed among the other tribes. We'll see that later. But you'll find, again, Moses and these two boys are again mentioned. So is Aaron and his sons, Phineas and I think Hopi. Anyway, that's that. Tomorrow, Sinai. Thank you.